And we begin tonight with two separate tragedies involving children. In Tulsa, a child is in critical condition after a violent home invasion.
And in Muskogee, an investigation after an infant was found dead in a car. 2
Works For You reporter Brian Miller is following that story for us tonight. And Brian, what have you learned?
Well, police arrived here at this daycare on hospital property for an unresponsive infant. That call coming in just before 5 o'clock today. Investigators are still working on interviews in this case, but here's what we know so far. A caregiver, not the parent, arrived at this daycare to pick up a child. Police say it was a 6-week-old baby boy. Staff here at the daycare told that caregiver who arrived to pick up the baby the child was never dropped off today. Minutes later, they realized the child had been inside the caregiver's car. The baby boy later pronounced dead at the scene. Muskogee police spokesperson tells me tonight cases like this really take a toll on the officers.
The majority of our officers have kids, and some have newborns that are about this same age. So, it really kind of hits home with them, and it affects them. I mean, we're not completely oblivious to emotions, and anytime you investigate the death of a child, it's tough on these guys.
No one has been arrested in connection with this case. Investigation is ongoing. Police would not say if heat played a direct role in causing this infant's death. Investigators say that determination will be made once they receive the medical examiner's report in the coming days. Reporting live tonight in Muskogee, Brian Miller.
5:05 this morning, a family is mourning the loss of a soldier killed in Afghanistan. The Department of Defense says Staff Sergeant Adam Thomas from Tacoma Park died on Tuesday. The 31-year-old was on patrol when he was hit by a roadside bomb.
And right now, a man is in custody accused of shooting and killing his own brother in Lee Summit. It happened off of Magellan Avenue, right near off of 291 Highway near Swan Road. 41 Action News reporter Josh Helmuth is live at the scene. So, Josh, what is the latest with this?
Well, police just updated me a few minutes ago saying they're not calling it a disturbance now. They're calling it, quote unquote, a commotion. On another note, they waited nearly all day to get a search warrant to go inside this duplex behind me. The crime scene unit truck just pulled up probably about an hour and a half ago. So now investigators are going inside for the first time. That's where they say the man's body who died is still inside. And according to them, his own brother shot him this morning.
Probably 3 or 4 people inside the home this morning when this tragedy occurred.
It was around 9:40 this morning when Lee Summit police got the call. Gunshots fired at this Lee Summit home.
Information quickly revealed through a witness who was inside the home that it was another family member.
A brother in his 20s who drove away after the killing. Officers began a search for the gunman immediately.
During that investigation, the suspect returns to the scene and is intercepted by officers who were working the perimeter and taken into custody without incident.
We spoke with neighbors who told us the family just moved in the duplex on Magellan Street in recent months and are not well known. All were stunned by the news of the homicide nearby.
It's a little bit of a shocker when it's this close to home and you can sit there in your living room and see all the lights going on.
It's rare for us to have a true investigative homicide.
Lee Summit police tell us this is only the second homicide in Lee Summit in 2016. From Lee Summit, Josh Helmuth, 41 Action News.
There's not much evidence that was left behind. But Dave Watson wasn't perfect. He made mistakes. He left evidence behind. And most importantly, he could not convince Rosemary Watson to carry his dark secrets forever.
An ex-wife recants an alibi. Now former Tucson firefighter David Watson is on trial for 3 murders. His first ex-wife, her mother, and her mother's friend.
The death of Linda Watson in 2000 and the 2003 murders of her mother, Marilyn Cox, and her friend, Renee Farnsworth, were cases that had gone cold until Watson's second wife admitted the alibi she gave Watson was a lie.
Now the trial is beginning that will decide whether Watson is guilty of 3 murders. Prosecutors say the case hinges on a child custody dispute so vicious it led to 3 murders.
Prosecutor Jonathan Mosher says David Watson was so determined to keep custody of his daughter Jordan, he killed ex-wife Linda Watson to keep her away from a custody hearing. When she seemed to have disappeared, he got custody by default. Mosher says Watson's second wife, Rosemary, told detectives he was home at the time Linda Watson disappeared, when he really was out until dawn.
And there he is at the back of his Jeep, cleaning it out. She doesn't see what, she doesn't know what he was cleaning out. She knows that he came inside carrying a box of gloves. You know, gloves like the fireman's paramedic would have.
Linda Watson's mother, Marilyn Cox, believed Watson killed her daughter. After she won child visitation rights, someone shot and killed her and Renee Farnsworth in front of Linda Watson's house. Again, second wife Rosemary Watson said he was with her. Later, she admitted he went out and made another suspicious return.
He was sweating, pale, eyes wide, panicked. She takes one look at her husband. She knows something is wrong. She doesn't know that Marilyn and Renee have been gunned down at that point. And she says, "What's wrong?" Defendant comes in, turns out the light, and kisses the girls goodnight, leaves the room with Rosemary, takes off his clothes, says, "Wash these," and gets in the shower.
Mosher says Rosemary Watson lived in fear and kept David Watson's secrets until she divorced him and told detectives what she knew. But it still took another 8 years to arrest David Watson until remains found in the desert were matched to Linda Watson.
In his opening statement, defense attorney Mike Story told the jury Linda Watson had a drinking problem and other personal problems that made her talk about running away. He also suggested her boyfriend after David Watson had more conflict with her than Watson.
Story also questioned the motives of Watson's second ex-wife, who had given Watson an alibi, then retracted it. We will hear from her.
More breaking news tonight. Tulsa police looking for one suspect and multiple accomplices after a home invasion at an East Tulsa apartment complex.
2 Works for You reporter Katie Wisely is live there, where a baby was critically hurt as a result. Katie, what did police say?
Brian and Karen, still an active scene here at the Meadows apartment complex in East Tulsa. We're told police were called here just before 6 o'clock this evening on a disturbance call. Now, police say 3 people tried to break in the back door of the apartment. Police say when they did, they threw a pipe through the glass and hit a 9-month-old baby in the head. TPD says the child's mother and father were inside the apartment at the time of the home invasion. Police say the father was assaulted and transported to the hospital with an eye injury. We're told he is expected to be okay.
The infant was taken to a minor emergency center and then transferred to St. Francis Hospital.
We're told the baby is in critical condition with head injuries at this time. Police tell us they do have a description of the suspect's vehicle but are not releasing it at this time. We were just notified that the suspects are 2 women and a male. Now, TPD says they will be out here throughout the night processing the scene. Reporting live in Tulsa, Katie Wisely, 2 Works for You.
People rushed to the hospital following a late-night crash that happened in Attleboro. First responders were called to West Street. Just before midnight, a car had crashed into a tree. 1 man, 2 women being treated. Right now, we don't know the extent of their injuries. Police telling us 1 person was trapped inside the car and unconscious. Cause of the crash still under investigation.
Expect to see some smoke coming from Westover Air Reserve Base in Chicopee today. Up to 300 acres of grassland on the property will be burned as part of prescribed burning. Airfield areas that are expected to be burned include Westover Golf Course as well as the Hamlin County Correctional Center. U.S. Forest Services, wildlife firefighters, and the Air Base Fire Department will be in charge of burning and use safe burning practices.
We're learning new details this morning about an alleged threat that a Coventry High School student made via social media. We first told you about it last night at 11.
Eyewitness News reporter Julianne Pixoto spoke with police this morning. She joins us now live from Coventry with more.
That's right, Patrick. We actually just spoke to police about 15 minutes ago. They tell us there's always a school resource officer here at Coventry High, but there will be an increased presence today in light of this threat. Now, that student won't be allowed in school today, and he will be facing charges in family court later today. Now, last night, a female student alerted police that she'd received a threatening Snapchat video. In it, another student was shown loading what appeared to be a handgun with the caption, "Don't come to school tomorrow." Detectives and school officials figured out which student made the video. Police then went to the student's home where he was cooperative. He admitted to making the video and showed police the weapon in question. It turns out it was an airsoft gun. Airsoft guns are replica firearms that shoot plastic bullets. Police say they do not believe the student poses a credible threat, but again, there still will be an increased police presence at Coventry High School today. And you'll remember there was a similar situation at Cranston West High School a couple weeks ago. Several students were arrested for allegedly bringing guns onto school grounds. They also faced charges. Live in Coventry with the West Bay Mobile Newsroom, Julianne Pixoto, Eyewitness News.